Title: Russia's Luna-25 crashes on the Moon, a costly blow to Moscow's space comeback dream. When Russia's Luna-25 spacecraft launched from the Vostochny Cosmodrome in August 2023, the nation's scientific community and political leadership viewed it as a symbol of revival, a return to the lunar frontier that once defined Soviet space glory. It was the first lunar mission in nearly half a century, an attempt to show the world that Russia could still compete among the modern space powers of the 21st century. But just days after entering lunar orbit, Luna-25 met a tragic end. A software glitch and trajectory miscalculation sent it hurtling toward the lunar surface, where it crashed violently, scattering the hopes of Russia's space resurgence across the cold, gray regolith. The mission had been planned for years, delayed repeatedly due to technical challenges, funding shortages, and international sanctions that limited access to key components. Still, the spacecraft represented decades of perseverance. Standing on the launch pad, Luna-25 gleamed in the early dawn light, its gold and white panels reflecting a dream that began with the legendary Luna program of the 1950s and 1960s, a program that achieved the world's first impact on the Moon, the first lunar orbit, and the first soft landing. The Luna-25 mission was supposed to mark the next chapter of that legacy, signaling Russia's re-entry into lunar exploration after decades of silence. The lander's primary goal was to touch down near the Moon's south pole, a region of great interest because of its potential reserves of frozen water. NASA, ESA, China, and India were already eyeing the same area as the next step toward establishing long-term lunar bases. For Russia, success meant more than scientific discovery. It was about reclaiming pride, technological prowess, and geopolitical influence through the one domain that had once proven the Soviet Union's superiority: space. As the Soyuz rocket lifted off, cheers erupted in the control room. Russian scientists, many of whom had worked on aging systems and outdated infrastructure for years, felt a surge of triumph. Luna-25's systems performed flawlessly during the initial phase. It reached lunar orbit smoothly, and the mission's early telemetry data indicated everything was functioning as planned. The Russian media proudly declared that Moscow had entered the new space race, competing once more with the United States, China, and India. But as the spacecraft prepared for its descent, subtle anomalies began to appear. Engineers detected irregularities in the thruster control system, a potential malfunction in the onboard computer's algorithms that calculated engine burn timing. While minor, such issues can be fatal in spaceflight. The team decided to adjust the lander's pre-landing orbit, a maneuver intended to refine its trajectory for a precise touchdown. That adjustment turned disastrous. On August 19, just one day before the scheduled landing, Luna-25's engines fired longer than expected during the correction burn. The command sequence that should have shut them off failed to execute properly, sending the spacecraft into an uncontrolled descent. Within seconds, it was plummeting toward the Moon at high velocity. Mission control lost contact. Silence filled the room where moments earlier, engineers had been exchanging optimistic reports. The transmission feed went dark. There were no telemetry readings, no heartbeat signal from the lander, only the cold, static emptiness that every space agency dreads. Hours later, Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, confirmed the worst. Luna-25 had crashed. The official statement described it as a collision with the lunar surface, the result of anomalous operation during orbital adjustment. The agency's tone was restrained, but the disappointment was evident. Years of work, billions of rubles, and Russia's hopes for a technological comeback had vanished in an instant. The news reverberated worldwide. International observers and space agencies expressed sympathy, understanding that space exploration is unforgiving even for the most experienced nations. India, which was preparing its Chandrayaan-3 mission for a South Pole landing at the same time, extended professional condolences. Ironically, just days after Luna-25's crash, India achieved what Russia had failed to do. Its Vikram lander successfully touched down near the lunar South Pole, making India the first nation to do so. The contrast was painful for Moscow. For many Russian scientists, the failure felt personal. The Luna-25 project had been their chance to prove that despite limited budgets and the isolation caused by sanctions, Russian engineering could still rival the best in the world. The crash was not only a technological setback but also a symbolic one. It underscored how decades of underfunding, brain drain, and bureaucratic stagnation had eroded Russia's once dominant space program. The Soviet Union's space legacy had been built by visionaries, Korolev, Keldysh, and countless others, who pushed boundaries with limited tools but limitless ambition. The modern program, by contrast, struggled to keep up with rapidly advancing international competitors using decades-old systems and limited innovation. Analysts described the incident as a reflection of Russia's broader struggles, a country trying to revive its past glories while constrained by modern realities. Roscosmos had hoped that Luna-25 would pave the way for future missions, Luna-26, an orbiter, and Luna-27, a more advanced lander to drill for ice. Those missions now hang in uncertainty. The crash forced a reassessment of technology, processes, and management, but it also raised deeper questions about Russia's place in the evolving global space order. In the days that followed, the lunar crater created by Luna-25's impact was spotted by NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. It was a small, fresh scar on the Moon's surface, an enduring mark of human error and ambition. Back on Earth, Russian officials vowed to continue the Luna program. Space exploration is never without risk, Roscosmos declared, and each failure is a lesson toward future success. Yet, behind those words was the quiet recognition that restoring public confidence and international credibility would be a far greater challenge than rebuilding the next spacecraft. The Luna-25 crash also highlighted how space exploration has evolved. What once was a bipolar race between superpowers has become a multipolar competition involving government agencies, private companies, and new spacefaring nations. NASA collaborates with SpaceX and Blue Origin, China is building a lunar research base with international partners, India is rising as a new global player. Russia, once at the forefront, now faces the task of catching up in a world that has changed dramatically since the 1960s. Still, despite the heartbreak, many in the Russian scientific community refuse to see Luna-25 as a failure. They view it as a necessary step in relearning the art of lunar landing, a skill lost to time. Every misstep, they argue, brings them closer to success. And history supports that sentiment. The original Luna missions also suffered multiple crashes before achieving triumph. In that sense, the crash is not an ending but a painful beginning. Months later, analysis of telemetry data revealed that a faulty calculation in the propulsion control software likely triggered the descent error. Engineers concluded that the system failed to properly transition from orbital to landing mode. It was a technical error, but one rooted in deeper systemic issues, aging technology, insufficient ground testing, and a lack of modern digital infrastructure. The report urged sweeping reforms within Roscosmos to prevent future tragedies. In Moscow, the incident sparked political debate. Some officials blamed budget cuts, while others blamed Western sanctions that restricted the import of microelectronics. But amid the blame game, one truth remained clear: the dream of lunar exploration still burns fiercely within Russia. The Luna-26 and Luna-27 missions are still on the table, albeit delayed. Scientists insist they will not abandon their goal of reaching the lunar South Pole, collecting samples, and eventually contributing to a joint international research base. The Moon has always tested humanity's persistence. It rewards patience, punishes haste, and humbles even the mightiest nations. Russia's Luna-25 was supposed to be a statement of resurgence, but it became a reminder that ambition alone cannot defy physics. The crash may have ended one mission, but it reignited a conversation about resilience, modernization, and the enduring human desire to reach beyond the limits of our world. In the end, Luna-25's wreckage rests silently in the Moon's dust, a silent witness to both failure and faith. And perhaps one day, when another Russian lander successfully touches down near that same crater, it will serve as a monument, not to defeat, but to the spirit of exploration that refuses to die, no matter how many times it falls.